Let's have some fun tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The first weekend of March Madness wasn't as crazy as some had hoped. The NBA season is getting closer to the finish line, and the MLB regular season officially kicks off for a majority of the league. All of this and much more coming up on College Crossfire.
What are those? Coming back to that 2021 MVP. He's better than Josh Allen. He's better than Baker Mayfield. He's not better than Mahomes. I can't say that.
Once you miss a kick, you get kicked.
You know, bags of money or whatever, some food inside of them. Okay. All right. We're gonna move on.
Good evening and welcome into the College Crossfire. I'm your official host, Ryan Swantkowski, and we have an action-packed show tonight for you. Before meeting our lovely contestants, I want to share with you that today's show is brought to you by Cat Metro, Austin's transit system. We connect you to work, school, play, and everywhere in between. Plan your ride to this weekend's game at catmetro.org. All right. It's time now to introduce and meet the players of tonight's show. Introducing first, a man who believes Caleb Williams could be a commander, and last week's champion, Ryan Hopper. Ryan, how are we feeling?
It's good to be back, looking for the back-to-back, and it's great to be here.
There we go. Welcome back on. Good to have you here yet again. Introducing second, a contender who's ready to be back on top, and a Crossfire legend. Look at that. I'm being nice to you today, Joe.
Hey, man,
Mr. Joe Duffey, how are we feeling?
Glad to be back on the episode. Don't know when the last time I was on.
Been a few weeks.
Yeah, been a few weeks, I guess, but I've been working the back, so glad to be back here in the panel.
There we go. We missed you. Glad you're back tonight as well. And interesting third, a new man in the arena trying to make his name known early here, Asher Rigo. Asher, how we feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling Rookie of the Year.
Oh, look at that. A little Rookie of the Year take early into this show. I like it. I like the fire. There we go. Before we get started, though, let's go over the rules of the game just in case you've never tuned in before. There will be 3 rounds, with each round containing 3 questions, and points will be given to who I believe has the best answer in order of 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the third round wins and gets to come back for next week's show as well. But we can't forget that the third and final round, or the rapid fire round, is worth double the points. That meaning the best answer will receive 6 points, and so on. New to the game, in case there is a tied score at the end of the final round, I do have a quick bonus question to see who is crowned champion. Also in this rapid fire round, the contestants have not been able to see or prepare for these questions at all, meaning they'll have to improvise, overcome, and just hopefully, what, anybody want to say it?
Not get caught in the crossfire.
Beautiful. That's getting clipped later for sure. Now that the game is explained, let's get to firing. Texas men's basketball has been eliminated from the NCAA Tournament after falling to Tennessee in the round of 32 by a final score of 62-58. Why didn't Texas win this game, and what are your early thoughts for the team moving forward into next season? Ryan, we're going to start with you, here closest to me.
Well, I will say that the Longhorns pleasantly surprised me with their effort on the defensive end of the floor. I'm not saying they wouldn't try. It's obviously an elimination game, but they had a better defensive performance against one of the better teams they played all year. They held them to 38% from the field, even lower than that in the first half, and they held them to less than 20% from 3. So you think, oh, you do that, you would have won, right? Mm-hmm. No, not Texas, because Texas can't have anything nice. And so Max A. Smith and Dylan Dessou, your 2 main scorers, went 7 for 28 from the field in an elimination game. Like we were talking about off camera before this, lots of bad shots, questionable plays run, sets run. I mean, Kendall Weaver, a defensive specialist, and Tyrese Hunter were your leading scorers with, I believe, 13 points apiece. It's not really sustainable in a game against a team as tough as Tennessee when you're looking to pull it upset. Tennessee dominated on the offensive glass, made it really hard. They even shut down Dalton Neck for the most part. He had an inefficient 17 or 18 points, but it just proved to be too much for the Hornets. As for next year, I'm optimistic. Trey Johnson's coming in, consensus top 10 recruit, 2 more 4 stars. We'll see what they can get in, though, through the NIL money. They'll be in the tournament again.
Okay, tournament again. Johnson coming in. I like that. And like you said, I mean, Tyrese Hunter and Weaver leading your team in scoring. that's probably never going to win you a game unless you're playing some kind of non-Power 5 bottom school. But that is what it is. A great answer to start off the show. Joe, let's hear it.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off what Ryan was saying is I was actually pretty impressed with the defensive effort, but also Tennessee was missing a lot of wide open shots, and I'm just wondering how Texas couldn't take advantage of those opportunities. You also look at the ball control game. Texas had 17 turnovers. Tennessee had 12. Tennessee would score 15 off of those turnovers, but also the conversation that we've had all year is the lack of physicality with this Texas front court. Being that Tennessee had 14 offensive rebounds, they got 14 offensive rebounds in the game, rather, compared to 7 that Texas had. Crashing the glass has been one of Texas' weaknesses. They have been good chasing after rebounds all season long, and it came back to bite them against a solid front court in Tennessee.
Yep, absolutely. Quick picture for next year at all? Any predictions there?
I don't really think it'll be that much different, but, Ronnie Terry is good at recruiting, so we'll see what can happen. But I think the team will be slightly better. Do I think it'll be, in the running for top 3 in the SEC? Sure. The SEC is not as, as great as it has been in the past, but, it's a good conference now. But I think that this team could possibly finish maybe runner-up in the SEC.
Okay, fair. Runner-up in the SEC. You mentioned turnovers. You mentioned lack of physicality. I like that point a lot. Front court, especially, DeSue seems to get by around a little bit. Just lack of physicality on all standpoints, really, especially offensively, seemed to be a very gleaming issue for Texas, not only in that game, but as the season went on. So, anyways, great answer from you, Joe. Asher, round us off. Let's hear it.
Well, I have to agree with both of them on the turnovers, on the rebounds. Obviously, offensive rebounding has been a problem for us the entire season. What I think came in to haunt us the most is actually the playmaking, the IQ, the off-ball movement. It's obviously not something that you can measure in a statistic as much as with the rebounds. So let me paint a picture here. Brock Cunningham comes up, Tyrese Hunter in the right side, right corner. Asmus in between the two. Hunter clears out off an off-ball screen by Asmus. Asmus gets the ball from Brock. Brock gets it back again, pitches it again to Asmus, sets the screen, Asmus drills a 3. Brock took 1 dribble on the possession, Asmus took 3, no one else touched the ball. That cut it from 6 to 3 with 7 minutes left. That's a beautifully drawn-up possession, as opposed to the play that's been haunting all of the Texas fans this past week. 15 seconds left, Asmus comes down, DeSue attempts to set an off-ball screen, doesn't work. Hunter attempts to set an off-ball screen, doesn't work. Instead, it leaves Asmus with a double team that he jacks up a 3 on. We end up staying down 4. Tennessee has ball. That pretty much was the end of the game. So I'd like to see Rodney Terry take a little bit more with the play calling, especially off the inbounds. We had 2 separate IT Horton, Tyrese Hunter, just throw it straight in to somebody else. So I think that kind of speaks to the physicality, but also just the IQ of the team. And I think that's something that could honestly take a hit next year without older veteran players like Asmus and Brock Cunningham. So I'd like to see that. As for next year, I agree with Joe. I think we'll be great in the SEC. I think we'll definitely make the tournament. I like Trey Johnson a lot. Cam Scott, potentially off the bench, could come in. So I'd like to see us win a game or 2 in the tournament. I think if we don't, Rodney Terry could be looking at some trouble, especially if he can't recruit well.
Yeah, fair enough. I love Rodney Terry. I hope he's not looking at some trouble, but really like the painting the picture. That's what the show's all about. You got to give imagery for the people out there who are watching. Wonderful answer to end that first question. All right, really tough one to start off the night here to give out points. Going to give the 3 to Joe. Physicality to me has been kind of the biggest point of emphasis I've seen throughout the season. I think it's been just the biggest problem, and the turnovers as well. Like you mentioned, points off turnovers. Nice stat there. The 2. Hard one to give out here, but Asher, I'm going to give it to you on the end. Like the picture painted. Last shot was just absolutely horrific. The Texas offense just dribbling around in circles. Don't know what they're doing, so I'm going to give you the 2. Ryan, like your answer a lot too, but I'm going to give you the 1 to start off. So it's a hot question to start off the night, but there we go. All right, moving over to our second question and to women's basketball. The Lady Longhorns are still dancing as they will take on the 4th-ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs this Friday in the Sweet 16. What's your prediction for this game, and what does Texas need to do specifically if they want to win this one? And I don't know what that is necessarily on the screen, but that is okay. We roll along with it. Joe, we're going to start with you.
Well, I think this is a really solid Gonzaga Bulldog team. Looking at their past in the March Madness, UC Irvine, very close win that they scrapped by. But look, this perimeter defense is going to have to step up for Texas in this game. They weren't making a lot of 3-pointers against UC Irvine, but against Utah the following week, they were 12 of 17. So you cannot leave them open. There are some flamethrowers. They do not hesitate on 3-point shots, but also they are scrappy, crashing the glass. And they got, I believe, 26 rebounds defensively last game. So I think that this team cannot hesitate really trying to crash the glass and prevent second chance points against the Gonzaga Bulldogs, because you're going to need it more than ever to move on for a potential Final Four bid.
Absolutely. Very, very well put there to start off the bat. Yes, like you said, didn't know that rebound stat, by the way. That's pretty wild. But great answer to start us off, Joe. Not much else I can really say there. Asher, let's go to you, man.
I think 30-4 Longhorns team, obviously it's a small enough sample size to, it makes it pretty easy to look at statistically what is problematic when we lose, right? And I think that comes down to two things. I think it's assist differential and three-point differential, and I think that's been the problem. In 3 of our 4 losses, the opposing team had 27, 30, and 30 points off threes, and we were out-assisted in all 4, averaging 10 assists to our league average 16.2 over the season. And so I think the Gonzaga problem is, I think we got a really tough draw. Those are 2 things that they do best. They average 20 assists on the season, and they average a whopping 9 three-pointers per game. They were 12 for 22 against Utah, kind of like Joe said. So I think it's going to be guard play as a whole. It's going to be the perimeter defense, as Joe said, and then it's going to be guard play on offense as well. You're going to have to step up with the threes. We only shot 5 against the Tide. We only made 1, and that's just not going to be something that works. We're going to need step up from both of them, and then we're going to need Madison Booker to dish out the assists, kind of like she did in the first game, 14 assists from her. I'd like to see something like that again, dishing it out to the other guards for some three-point shots.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Gonzaga, like you said, they're a 4 seed, but it definitely is a tough draw. 3-pointers and assists, kind of the name of the game all season long. Let's see what they can do about it this coming Friday. I like that answer a lot from you. Ryan, let's hear it, man.
So I have to piggyback on some of their answers. Gonzaga is a good team. However, I will say they came from a very weak conference and made it known they lost to a school in their conference championship game that has a lower enrollment than my high school. Okay, this Gonzaga team can be had. However, the game's going to come down to a matchup between 2 forwards. Obviously, Madison Booker is Texas' best player, and Gonzaga's best player, I forgot her first name, her last name is Jim. She's averaging 20 a game this year. So each team is going to be looking at their defensive keys to shut the opposing forward down. So it's going to come down to the supporting cast. Madison Booker is the straw that stirs the drink for Texas, but you got to have the other ingredients. Shea Holley, Shaylee Gonzalez, these are your shooters. Like they said, kick out to them for a 3. That's going to be key. They do have to shoot more than 5 threes like they did against Alabama. And then you got to work it low to people like Aaliyah Moore, and they got to hit the glass and limit Gonzaga's second shots because they are a very good shooting team. That being said, I think the supporting cast really steps up. I don't think that Madison Booker is necessarily going to have to put the horns on her back this game. And so I got the Horns winning by about 10 to 15 and cruising the Elite Eight.
All right, I like that prediction a lot. And mixing all the ingredients together, it's a team sport for a reason. I like that answer a lot, especially Sweet 16 Elite Eight. It's got to be team play. You can't have just a one-person wrecking ball machine out there. It won't get it done. So I really like that answer a lot. All right. My job hard over here with the 3. I'm going to give it to Asher over there on the end. 3-pointers and assists. Really liked your examples there. With the 2, I'm going to give it to Ryan. Mixing those ingredients together is the key to success. With the 1, I'm going to give it to you, Joe. Nothing wrong with your answers. Just maybe 2 slightly better, at least in my opinion. All right. We're going to move on to the final question of this round. Sticking here still with the madness of March, what was, in your opinion, the best game from this past weekend, so round of 64, round of 32, and what made it so special? Asher, we're going to start with you.
All right, I think there were a lot of great games this weekend. Obviously, there was a double overtime thriller. There were several OT games. Obviously, it ended in a lot of chalk, but it honestly didn't feel that way watching it. It felt like there were a lot of close games. I'm going to go with something a little bit outside the box in terms of one game. I'm going to go with a block. The 2 p.m. block, the very end of it, you're at like 4:30 p.m. on Friday, round of 64. You've got Auburn, Yale, and you've got Colorado, Florida playing simultaneously, literally having to dart your eyes back and forth or switch the channels depending on how you're watching it. Both ended in upsets is one reason why I liked it, and it's a tournament that hasn't had a ton of those. I also liked it's arguably Yale's best win in the history of the school. Lots of people have been saying that, so I think it's a fair statement to make. And then Colorado, Florida, the highest scoring game of the tournament so far, so really fun to watch. The 17th highest scoring tournament game of all time, 202 total points. So I really liked that block. It was phenomenal to watch. Both ended in upsets. and just really great games for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Sadly, I had Auburn winning it all. That did not happen this year. So you struck a chord there with that one. But yes, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't like to see I believe Auburn was the 4 seed, get taken down that early in the first round. SEC champions get taken down that early. Wasn't expecting that. Florida, Colorado, I mean, 102 to 100 points in regulation. You never see that in college basketball. Great way to kick off that answer or that question. I like it a lot. And Ryan, we're going to go to you.
So it was relatively a largely chalky first round. However, on the very first day, your first upset off the board, Kentucky losing to Oakland, not from California, from Michigan.
Realized that today, actually.
From Michigan. No, I don't think anybody outside of maybe Michigan knew this school existed.
Yeah.
And what a story. They're coming up against a basketball prospect factory that has sent numerous superstars over the past 2 decades to the NBA against Little Oakland. No one knows what state they're from. And Jack Golke shoots 23s, makes 10 of them, and what a story, okay? He only shot 8 shots inside of the arc the entire season.
Yep.
This guy is a three-point specialist, and he came out shooting. He poured in 32 points. That's what March is about. This guy, for 5 years, was playing D2 ball and then transfers to a low-level D1 in the Horizon League. I bet you can't name more than 3 teams in the Horizon
Can't
League.
name more than one.
Right? except for Oakland. And so that's what March is about.
Yeah.
And you have a coach, he's been there 40 years, gets his second tournament win in school history.
Yeah.
That's special for the Golden Grizzlies. That's what March is about. It's David versus Goliath.
Absolutely. Like David versus Goliath, great way to put it. Jack Golke, unbelievable performance. He became that guy everybody loves in March. You know, you had Doug, what was it, Doug Eater, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Eddard, whatever it was, 2 years ago. Everybody loved him. Oh my gosh. This is that same type of feeling. I mean, Kentucky has multiple prospects projected to go in the NBA draft. What an episode that was. Great answer from you. Joe, round us off for this round, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go with just this past Saturday, Texas A&M going against Houston, a game that finished in OT. And much to like what they were saying, I mean, the narratives that were being drawn mid-game, Houston possibly getting upset after having a phenomenal season thus far, winning the Big 12 regular season title, Jamal Shead winning Big 12 Player of the Year. But look at this, the score in the second half, 12 down, and, they come back to tie the game thanks to an Anderson Garcia game-tying 3 and with 1 second remaining and a shot that, people weren't expecting him to make, but also, I mean, it almost didn't happen off that little out-of-bounds play towards the end. But looking at that game, Kelvin Sampson, he's had, struggles with his team finishing and not getting past the rounds that they're supposed to get past.
Yep.
And A&M getting hot down the stretch the past 2 years. I mean, this could have been a massive upset right there. But then going to the foul trouble, I mean, in the very end, I mean, Houston almost didn't have a team in the last few minutes.
Yep.
Jamal Shead getting, knocked out in the very end, too, was very big. And then you have, I can't remember his name, but he took the final free throws for Houston. And that's a guy who's never getting playing time, huh? Elvin, yeah.
Right.
I can't remember his first name, but not getting any playing time. Probably didn't expect that he would touch the court that night in a crucial round of 32 game. But ending in OT, Houston got it done with their backs against the wall, seemingly, but got it done in OT against Texas A&M, who was fighting to the very end.
Yeah, love that answer. I wasn't really expecting too much from A&M. I feel like U of H is a very strong team in the tournament. Like you said, foul trouble in overtime. First off, getting to overtime, ball almost not being thrown in. That guy who made it has like 8 threes attempted on the entire season, drains it, of course, because why not? It's March. Foul trouble, guy comes in, has to hit a free throw. It had everything you need in the game, everything you want in the game. So really like that answer as well. Okay, tough to give out points, obviously, yet again. But with 3, I'm going to give it to Ryan. I think Oakland shocked not only the college basketball world, but the world of sports altogether. Jack Golke, the name you will never forget. With 2, got to give it to you, Joe. Overtime thriller, taking the number 1 seed to the wire. Got to give that one to you. With the 1, Asher, like the answers a lot too. But man, these other 2 games, whoo, kind of blew it out of the water there. But that will wrap things up for tonight's first round. Don't go anywhere. College Crossfire. We'll be right back. Welcome back into College Crossfire. Quick scoring update for everybody. This will be easy. Everybody's tied at 6, so there we go. So the first round sometimes goes. There we go. Competitive game tonight. Let's now get back to some different sports questions in our next block. The NBA season is beginning to come down to the wire, and there are numerous teams outside of the top ranks that can really make some noise in this last stretch and maybe even into the playoffs. If you had to pick one team currently not in the top 6 seeds in their respective conference to make or even win the play-in tournament, who would it be and why? Asher, we're going to start on them with you.
All right. I got it. There's a couple teams I like.
Yep.
I like the Sixers. Just if Embiid comes back in the next couple weeks,
Okay.
they shouldn't really be an 8th seed with Embiid, right? Other than that, obviously the Heat always make deep runs. But I got to take my team, the Houston Rockets. They're currently sitting in 11th. I don't know how they're doing against the Thunder right now. It was close. Shea is not playing, so hopefully that means a win.
Yep.
Either way, the Warriors won tonight. It'll still be within 2 games coming into the last few weeks of the season. The Rockets are just outside of that plan. They're top 10 in defense over the season and 15th in offense. Alperen Şengün, who seemed to be like the franchise player, just went out in a wheelchair, and now they're on 9 wins in a row without him. Now that we need Jalen Green to step up, he has. He's been unbelievable. He's been dropping highlights, but also actually playing efficiently.
Yeah.
On top of that, you've got an unconditional 5, honestly somewhat reminiscent of when they almost invented the 5 out with Harden and Paul and Tucker and Gordon back in the day. You've got Jabari Smith at the 5, Fred VanVleet at the point, and then you've got Amin Thompson, Dylan Brooks, and Jalen Green almost playing positionless among the 2, 3, 4, which sets up Cam Whitmore to come in perfectly off the bench for any of those guys. Over the last 9 games that they've won in a row, their average points per game is 123.8, which is higher than the Celtics and Pacers' league-leading season average of 123.1. You're talking about a team who's still top 10 in defense, top 15, and now potentially one of the best offenses in the league. If they make the play-in, I 100% think they could make it in the playoffs, even win around at that, especially if they can get Şengün back and work him into that unconventional, athletic, high-powered offensive scoring 5.
Yeah, I think the Rockets absolutely right now. I mean, 9 in a row. I mean, you just can't fake that. I mean, numbers don't lie, stats don't lie. 9 in a row, no matter who you are, no matter who you're playing in the NBA, is ridiculous. Really like the description you gave of that offense. Kind of everybody not really playing with a set position. Going to be interesting to see if they get Şengün back. Even without him, though, apparently at the moment, they seem to be succeeding. So like that answer to start us off. Joe, going to you. Let's hear it.
Just to be clear, I mean, I really think the Sacramento Kings are going to be, the overwhelming favorites, just dominate in the play-in spot, even if they, just miss the regular play-in spots. But, this West is thriving right now, and it's just so competitive. It's not really their fault that much that they're in the 7th spot right now. No matter who they face behind them in the 8, 9, 10 spot, I think they're going to dominate them easily. I think the Kings can make possibly past the 2nd round and make a conference final run. I really like Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox this season. But look, this Western Conference is so deep. It's deeper than it has been in a while. I think that the Kings could still have, I believe, 53 possible wins as a play-in seed, which is kind of crazy, just showcasing how deep this whole Western Conference is. So, I mean, no matter how they get sliced in the Western Conference standings, the Mavericks are thriving right now. I believe they've won 5 in a row. They just passed them in the Western Conference standings to move to 6, and they've been flip-flopping back and forth. They're going to play the 2nd game, I believe, tomorrow, and they're 2nd in the home and home. But I really think that this Kings team can make some noise. I think it's finally the time for Mike Brown's squad to make some noise in the playoffs, and they're going to be a nice spot if they're in the play-in spot. And I don't think anybody can beat them in the play-in.
Yeah, absolutely. The Kings are dangerous. I mean, Sabonis is at least outperforming expectations from what I've seen over previous years from him. De'Aaron Fox is a guy who can run up and down the floor with ease. The Kings are very, very good. And not only that, their crowd is phenomenal as well. You give the Kings a home game, I mean, my gosh, it's one of the loudest stadiums in the NBA, in the sport for sure. So I like that answer a lot as well, Joe. Let's hear it. Ryan, run us off.
Well, so I did briefly consider the Rockets. I know my audience here. And
No bias.
And they are on a great winning streak. But if you said they have to be outside the top 6, who's the best team outside the top 6 in either conference? It's the Sixers, okay? They're getting Embiid back. Nick Nurse said today that he is very confident they will get Embiid back in the month of April. So he's just got to get fit and get ready. Meanwhile, I think without him, they've been treading water without him. Maxi's a superstar. Buddy Hield can score. Melton, you got two-way guys like Oubre, Tobias Harris.
Yeah,
this is a really, really good team that could maybe win. Because when you get outside the top 4 or 5 in the East is bad. they could really take advantage of the play-in. And say Embiid isn't 100% yet, they could get that 7 seed, win the play-in, and then guess who they play in the first round? Doc Rivers, the biggest choke artist possibly in NBA history, in the Milwaukee Bucks, who is their former coach, as you all remember. And I like them to upset the Bucks in the first round with a healthy Embiid.
Wow.
I think they're going to do just that. I think they're going to throw Dame off his game. Dame's going to be taking bad shots, and Maxey can defend. You've all these two-way guys, and talk about a crowd.
Yeah.
When Philadelphia gets going, it's awful to be an opposing player. So I got the Sixers making the conference final.
All right, wow. Sixers not only doing the play-in thing, but maybe even taking down the Bucks in the first round. Woo! It's a hot take, Ryan. I like it. It's a hot take. Harden is now off the team, so you don't got a choke artist like that on your team anymore. We'll see what they can do. I like that answer a lot. They're talented. They need him be back, though, of course. They need him back. We'll see if they can get that done. All right, giving out points here. Joe, I'm giving you the 3. Kings, I think, all around are probably one of the best teams. What's that little look going on over there?
Yeah, like that.
What's that little look going on over there? You
The
don't like that?
Rockets, the Rockets love. He wants that Rockets love. I get it.
I'm going to give it to the Kings. I personally think they're the all-around one of the best teams that are currently not in the top 6. I do think they can make some damage, and the home court could really do some damage as well. But 2, Asher, I'm giving you the 2 over there. There we go. He's okay with the 2 over there. Really well-explained answer. The streak for the Rockets has been great. I'm a little worried about them burning out potentially, but the streak
schedule
for
gets
them,
a little harder,
it
but
does.
it's still doable.
It is still doable, absolutely. But I'm giving you the 2. Ryan, I'm going to give you the 1. I like the 76ers answer. I'm a little pessimistic, though. We'll see if Embiid comes back healthy. It might be a little bit of a challenge for them, so I'm going to give you the 1 there. All right. The NFL has officially approved the new kickoff rule, which will have the kicking team's players lined up on the opposing team's 35-yard line, the receiving team's front line on the 30, and a bunch of other different touchback and out-of-bounds rules. What are your thoughts on these changes, and would you add or remove anything to or from them if you could? Joe, we're going to start with you in the middle.
To start it off, let me just say, I am elated over this hip drop ban for the NFL rule changes so far. I think it's a good move. But moving on to this kickoff rule, I think this is despicable. This is really a bad look for the NFL. And the fact that we couldn't hear any rumors of them talking about this. I hate waking up in the morning and seeing these rule changes just happen, and all of a sudden there's new conversation because we didn't have time to even discuss the possibility of it changing. I didn't even know it was going to happen. I didn't know there was a vote that was happening the night before apparently on it, and the owners overwhelmingly voted on it. But man, it just looks bad. Keep stuff in the separate leagues that make it great and signature to that league, but don't change the NFL and make something so different that's not football related. And so when you have something like that and have guys lined up like just facing each other like you're doing tackling drills, doesn't look like anything kickoff related. And I know they're trying to do make the game more safe, and noticing how you couldn't move in the past kickoff rules because of concussion related injuries. But in this right here, this is just not football at this point. You can't tell me this is really trying to make injuries better. It's just trying to show like more control and really trying to change the game, so I don't really like it.
Fair enough. He used the word despicable in case you missed it. Wow. Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to give my opinion until after all these 3 guys have spoken, but despicable, very interesting take there, Joe. Fair enough. And the hip drop tackle, I like that as well. Too many injuries with it, so good call. All right, great way to start us off. Ryan, we're going to you.
So I'm conflicted on this rule. Player safety is very important. But from personal experience, as someone who has been concussed in high school football on kick coverage team because they have a running start, I personally think that you got to let the boys play football. You cannot fundamentally change the game. High school, we're doing it one way. College, we're doing it one way. And then NFL, we have this wacky new rule. It takes some of the physicality out of the game, and it takes away specialty players. Think about what happened to Deshaun Jackson, Devin Hester, Brian Mitchell, if they were in the league right now, and a team had just signed them to a free agent contract with the expectation that they would also be returners, and now you're not going to be able to return as many.
Yep.
So I think this makes it very difficult. Special teams gunners are very slept on. Coaches love gunners. They're very important for kick and punt coverage. You take away their value, I think you're taking away guys' jobs here.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking away value for sure. I mean, you named it. I mean, I think back to Devin Hester in the Super Bowl. I believe it was against the Colts, if I'm not mistaken, taking it to the house on the opening kickoff. Like that, we will never see that again unless somehow the rule gets reversed. So, yes, great point about taking away talent, which can be detrimental to some guys' careers. So I think that's a great point to bring up. All right, Asher, we're going to you, man.
Well, I wholeheartedly disagree. I entirely think that the new kickoff rule works in terms of not only safety, which is obviously on paper what it's there for, but also in terms of entertainment. The main thing that I note as a football watcher is in 2022, 38% touchback rate. Kind of a lot, 38% return rate, right? Yep. 62% touchback rate. Kind of a lot. Last year, 22% return rate. Everyone loves touchbacks. Everyone's talking about the touchdowns that come from, or everyone hates touchbacks. Everyone loves the touchdowns that come from returning the ball. Everyone loves the speed that picks up when you notice the opening and you go, oh my gosh, he might go for 77 yards.
There we go.
That hasn't been happening. 22% is the total number last season that returned. So if this leads to more of that, I'm all for it. And if you look at it, the 30, 35-yard line, or 35, 40, I can't remember exactly what it is. If the player can get through there, it might be more likely that a player can get through. So I agree that it does take away a number of specialty players. You're going to have probably more kind of offensive lineman kind of positions in there. But I like it in terms of safety and in terms of fan entertainment. And then separately from that, to go along with one of the rules I would like to see implemented, actually, Indianapolis Colts coach proposed a rule that says that you can review any foul or flag in the final 2 minutes, either a coach or a review official. And I think that along with the hip drop tackle and the roughing the passer, I think people are mostly worried about officiating being able to decide games too much. And so I think having something in the last 2 minutes where maybe even taking it a step further, you get one free challenge on any call, whether it's an out of bounds or a hip drop tackle or roughing the passer, I think could be huge and offset that.
Yeah, okay, fair. I mean, another challenge in 2 minutes, you could say, it could add on time to the game, but 2 minutes, that is when games are decided. So yes, absolutely, I do like that call as well, and I like your opinion as well. You're a little different from the other two. You love it. You understand that it takes away from players' things, but, maybe it could bring more pop. That is what it is. That is what it is. So, great answers from you guys. Quick personal theory. I gotta go back and forth. I'm really for, it takes away talent, but I also do think it can provide more returns do happen and actually bring in more entertainment. So I'm kind of back and forth, but anyways, giving out points here. Asher, I'm giving you the 3. Like what you said a lot about how it can actually increase, obviously not only returns, but maybe even touchdowns getting through that line. So I like that a lot. With the 2, got to give it to you, Ryan, for sure. It's definitely taking away talent. It's a big note, big thing to note when looking at special teams players. Steve Slater, whatever it was, that just retired. His whole career with special teams. That's just no longer really a thing anymore. With the 1, Joe, I'm going to give it to you to round it off there. And moving into our final question of this block and shifting over to the Diamond. The MLB season kicks off for the 30 teams not named the Dodgers or the Padres, and there are some absolutely loaded rosters this year around the league. If you had to predict who would have the most wins by the All-Star break, the halfway point in the season, which team are you going with and why? Ryan, we're going to start with you.
So I'm going to go with, because this is not the playoffs, this is the regular season, I'm going to go with the most successful regular season team of the past decade, and that is the Atlanta Braves. They are a buzzsaw. You got Acuna, reigning NL MVP, Albies, Ozuna, Austin Riley, Matt Olson. Those are 4 guys that could all hit 30-plus homers, and in the case of Riley, Matt Olson, and Acuna, 40-plus homers, and Acuna could steal 70 bases again. Probably not, but 50 to 60 bases. He's a phenom. Back of the lineup, you have great defensive guys. You have very good on-base guys. And so good defense, good offense, and then the pitching, come on. This might be the best staff in baseball. You got probably the NL Cy Young, Spencer Strider, Max Fried. They have a very slept-on, not just Chris Sale, who everybody's talking about. They got Charlie Morton, who's getting up there, but is a proven veteran. And they might have the best 5th starter in baseball, and his name is escaping me.
Kyle Wright.
The
reliever who's gotten moved up.
Yeah. And they're a great team, and so I'm going to go with the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I think very well put. The Braves, top to bottom, offense, defense, pitching, you kind of name it. They are an absolute wagon of a team. They are very, very good. They've been good for the past 2-3 years now. They can just do damage in every shape and form on the field. So really like the answer to start us off. And we're going to go over to Asher now.
Well, I'm glad I got to go second because I think there's no escaping that there is a massive top two in baseball this year. The Atlanta Braves, which I'll let you have, totally agree, and then the Los Angeles Dodgers, which I think is inescapable. If they can escape the injuries and the drama around Shohei right now, around Shohei not pitching, around Yamamoto potentially not having as good of a season the way he pitched in Korea, around Mookie Betts maybe not making it through a full season again, if they can escape those questions, which are questions, if they stay healthy, if they stay strong, they might have the best overall roster of the last decade. And I love the Braves-Dodgers, two of arguably the best on-paper rosters that I've seen in all of my time of watching baseball. Obviously, I'm fairly young. But, I mean, just an unbelievable team, unbelievable offense. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, the list goes way on, but I'll just leave it there. Yamamoto, obviously Shohei's not pitching this year, but they have an unbelievable pitching staff. Regardless, Glasnow, just unbelievable. That Dodgers crowd is obviously amazing. They've consistently produced in the regular season. And if we do take it past the All-Star break, while the Braves have lost in the NLDS the last 2 years, the Dodgers have consistently been a pretty good playoff team. So I really like their chances. I think they're very solid.
Yeah, the Dodgers, I mean, their roster just got obviously even better. Adding Shohei Ohtani, who's a top 5, maybe even top 3 hitter in baseball, considering all things. I mean, it just makes that team somehow even better than they already are. They got the pitching, like you said. Yamamoto's a bit of a question mark. So there are questions there, like you mentioned. I'm glad you brought those up. Bats, injuries to pitching, XXX drama right now with a whole bunch of stuff going on. So we'll see. Looking at it on paper, they're a phenomenal team. We'll see how it goes for them. I like that answer. Joe finishes off, then.
Yeah, I like Asher to answer, but I'm going to disagree slightly because I think the Dodgers' injuries thus far in the beginning of the season is a little bit too much to bear, but I think they'll finish strong. That's why I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles, a team that came out of nowhere last year. Had the AL Manager of the Year in Brandon Hyde. Just got Corbin Burns from the Milwaukee Brewers. Felix Bautista got hurt in September, and it cost them a very nice relief arm in the stretch in the postseason. But look, they're not going to have Jackson Holliday, the young rookie, the hyped prospect, who's going to eventually have some playing time this year. But Gunnar Henderson's going to grow. You can have more at-bats for Adley Rutschman, the star catcher. And look, this team's pitching has just gotten so much better. Yennier Cano, also a late relief option, is probably going to get more closing appearances this year. This team's schedule in the beginning of the first 2 months, I believe, first 2.5 months, is very easy. And if we're just talking about who's going to have the best record by the All-Star break, I think it'll be them easily. The AL East is still going to be a very nice division, not the best we've seen in possible past 2-3 years, but I really think the Yankees will get better. The Red Sox won't be as good, I think, but the Blue Jays will still be there, and the Rays will be what we know them to be. So the Orioles, I think, will have the best record overall by the All-Star break because their schedule is just way too easy for how good they are.
All right, Joe, fair enough. I like to answer the young, very, very young Orioles, but don't let that youngness get in the way of their talent because, my God, are they talented. Like you said, Corbin Burns, I believe former NL Cy Young, if I'm not mistaken, joining that squad already. The Orioles are here to make some damage, make some noise. So I like that answer a lot from you, Joe, and that's a great way to end this round. We are going to add up points when we come back, but just to say, I kind of messed up there, guys, but to give out points for this final question, Ryan, I'm giving you the 3. Atlanta, to me, on paper, and maybe even not on paper, I believe is the best roster in baseball through and through. The 2, tough one to give here, but Joe, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you the Orioles here. Like you said, their schedule to start off the season is pretty easy. We'll see. I feel like the Orioles might get hot to start off that season. They're young. They're coming out firing. The one, I can't believe I'm giving you the one over there, Asher, with the Dodgers, but I am, sadly. Drama, question marks, we'll see. The Dodgers, they're going to win a bunch of games. I know that. Going to be interesting to see how it comes down the stretch, though, so we'll see how that goes. All right. Great answers all around by our contestants. We've got Rapid Fire coming up next, along with that score update. Stay with us. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back in the College Crossfire. We have a very close game right now with everybody's still tied at 12 points. So there you go. So obviously it's still anyone's contest to take as we enter into the final round of tonight's show. That's worth double the points. And my advice to the contestants, I'll just say it this time, don't get caught in the crossfire. I'm pretty sure this is the first time this year we've had everybody tied going into the final round. So here we go. Let's get into it. MLB phenom Shohei Ohtani and NBA player Jonte Porter have both been in the news this week for potentially betting illegally. Ohtani's translator supposedly stole over $4.5 million and potentially used it to gamble, while Porter's being accused of placing prop bets on himself and then intentionally making the bet hit during his games. What are your thoughts on this, and what can the major sports leagues do, if anything, about this? Anybody can go at any time. Keep them kind of short.
So, with Ohtani, I'm not entirely convinced that he didn't know about this. I think he's kind of using the, I'm in a foreign country, I don't know the language, as kind of an excuse. Because think about it, his first contract was big, the second contract is huge. If he was on his second contract, I could be like, oh, maybe he misplaced $5 million. That first contract, come on, you know $4.5 million came out of your account. Come on, man. Like, that'd be like a couple grand to us, so you'd realize if that happened. And so I just think that's ridiculous. What the leagues need to do is, if this is legal, I don't know if this is legal, they have to monitor all these guys' bank accounts. They have to. They have to, because there's so many prop bets. There's not enough, oversight.
Yeah.
And yes, there's gambling oversight, but it's just really difficult for them to keep track of everything. There's so many books, legal and illegal.
Yep.
They got to watch these guys' bank accounts. Unfortunately, there's too much money on these games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to bring this up not only because these are, big-time names, big-time sports, but, it is a very interesting question, like, what can you do? Something has to kind of be done. So I'd like to answer the start. Go ahead, guys.
I'm going to start with Jonte Porter. I'm going to think that's I think it's really funny, honestly, to start off. Being that, I really didn't know who this was, to be honest with you. He doesn't get many minutes, and, there was a clip that went viral of him just, banking a three. He looked a little bit, disgruntled at that. But I thought that was pretty funny. Shohei's thing that happened to him, like Ryan said, I really am not buying this idea that he just didn't see $4.5 million leave his account.
Yeah.
I don't care how close I am with you. If I know you, if I'm around you, if you're a friend of mine, there's no way that I'm going to let you even near my account, first of all. But there's no way that I'm not going to notice that $4.5 million goes away from my account. Yeah. So I think they're kind of banking on there being a language barrier too. But also, I don't think there's really anything you can do about this. What I do think the league should do is kind of distance themselves away from these gambling sites. As much as I hate to say it, I do like, to have an occasional parlay every now and then. I do like looking at props. But, man, I don't like seeing these advertisements all over the place on a national broadcast. Hearing these play-by-play guys open the broadcast by telling them, the crowd their pick-ems, it kind of is very weird, because a decade ago, that would be very frowned upon. We would never see anybody talk about gambling at all on air. Yeah. So I really think the league should distance themselves away from gambling. Again, I really don't like it in sports. But overall, I just think that I'm not buying the Ohtani thing, even though I do find the Porter thing
absolutely.
hilarious.
It's a tough line to walk, because obviously these books are promoting, right? They're promoting those books, so they're getting money in return. But also, bring up 5-10 years ago, if I was watching TV, I'd be like, why are they showing me these lines? That feels wrong. Also, ESPN has their own betting show now, and an app, ESPN Bet. So it's all over the place. It's all over, it's pretty crazy. Asher, let's hear it, man.
Well, I'll go quick. Y'all covered a lot. I think there's no way that you can monitor bank accounts, although I think it would solve the problem, so it's a fair point.
Yeah.
I'm with Joe in terms of solution on just having the players, you're having players in ads advertise the gambling, so I just think it's a little bit excessive, and it definitely almost makes them seem complicit to it, they're selling the windows for commercials and stuff. In terms of, I'll talk about Shohei Ohtani. I actually disagree. Maybe I'm naive, maybe I'm a little bit ignorant, but I like to believe that his translator was stealing the money from Shohei. So I don't think Shohei knew anything about it. I think it was entirely the translator stealing from him. And I frankly feel bad for Shohei that happened to the guy. I think it's a pretty sad thing that his best friend translator, I don't know how close they were, but presumably fairly close.
It is sad.
Pretty disappointing that would happen to him if he didn't know about it.
It is definitely disappointing. Yeah, I mentioned the players kind of promoting it as well, just people around there. I mean, it's just so interesting. It's just
And he was punished enough by the injury to his arm, so let him hit.
There you go. There you go.
He's already it's pretty much already like losing a player.
That's a great way to end it. Great answers from all you guys. I'm not going to tell you who's getting the points. You're going to find out the winner at the end. So we'll move on to our second question here. It was mentioned just slightly earlier. But Oakland Phenom guard Jack Golke made those 10 3-pointers against Kentucky in the first round of the NCAA Tournament and helped them advance to the round of 32. Overnight, Golke became a sports sensation, getting promos with Buffalo Wild Wings, TurboTax, and others. If you were Golke, what company in the world would you personally most want to have a promo with, and why?
So not if we were us.
Correct. You're Jack Golke.
Okay.
You just scored 10 threes, and you're like, I want this company to sponsor me. I want to do a promo with this company.
Well, not a gambling site.
There you go. Good start.
That's a tough one.
Okay, if I'm Golke, this is a little bit different, but I think this is kind of the obvious answer. First of all, hate the guy. No offense. I had Kentucky going very far. I was high on him. He's got the lizard tongue sticking out way too long. Yeah, come on, man. He's in law school. He looks 45. It's because I wanted Kentucky to go far in my bracket. Anyway, I'm taking a shoe line. If you're Golke and you can get an entire shoe line, if you can sign a deal with Nike and you can get an ad, get kind of a logo, maybe even a signature shoe on being the guy who had the 10 threes to score 30 points. Honestly, the guy who had 8 twos to his 200 threes in a season. That's the more unbelievable stat. I don't know if I've heard something like that.
Yeah.
If I can get a sponsorship with Adidas or Nike and ad with them, potentially get a shoe for myself,
Okay.
I think that'd be the best way to go.
All right, own those shoe brand over there. All right, not bad. Not bad.
This might be my most stupid answer in rapid fire history, but sign me to Paramount. Because of my performance and me going crazy, you were going to make an autobiographical biopic of me.
Oh, wow.
The following months. I want you to tell my story from birth all the way to when I first started playing the game.
Hard Knocks with
Hard Knocks, background. You can cast me if you want to. If not, you can have, the most handsome dude play me. Possibly, I don't know, who's a handsome dude, right? Anybody know a handsome guy right now? I don't know. Whoever. But a handsome actor to play me, it better be played well, but I needed a series based on my life. Show me why I'm great. Show me why I'm even worthy of this deal. So Paramount, I need you.
Wow, Paramount with a whole backstory, childhood of Jack Golke, the Oakland legend. All right. Didn't think I was going to hear that tonight, but fair enough. Ryan, let's hear it, man.
Well, so I'm just thinking of him and his 3-point prowess. So you know what I'm thinking? My AAU coach used to get it out during practice, the Dr. Dish machine, which, if you don't know, the bucket's here, and then there's a net going up around the bucket, and to get arc on your shot, you have to put it over the net and into the actual basketball net. I think that'd be a great idea. I think, he's clearly not going to probably play at the next level, but you could have, if I was the Dr. Dish business guy, I'd be like, okay, let's get Jack Golke, let's get other, March Madness 3-point heroes, Jimmer Fredette. Let's get the band back together. Steph Curry, if you've got the money to do that, obviously, but that's going to cost more money.
Yep.
And I just think that'd be a tremendous idea. What's he known for? Shooting threes. He hit 10 threes against Kentucky. He did so efficiently. He could probably use the money in a few years when he's going to be working some normal job, and instead of playing, or maybe he'll be playing in Europe. And so I think that'd be a great answer. I mean, I think that it'd be great for Dr. Dish. Everybody'd be like, oh, I remember him from the tournament, and you got to do it now, right in the aftermath.
All right, nice, unique answer there. A little Dr. Dish hitting the threes. Oh, man, remember when Golke did all that? When you're like 4 years old, just shooting around. Love that. Great, unique answer right there. I like that one a lot. All right, writing the points down for that. We're moving into our final question of the night, bearing there, if there is a quick tiebreaker. Sports lovers sometimes just love to sit around and name some old and random sports players, whether it be on a road trip or just chilling with some friends. This game always remains in the back of my mind. Name one of the most random athletes you can think of, and why did he just come to your mind?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
There's so
Might be the
many.
best question in rapid fire history.
I love that.
This is tough.
This is a tough one, though.
Let's hear it.
You know what? He briefly played for my Nationals, but that's not where he made his name. One of the most confounding players in baseball history, Adam Dunn. Okay, this guy basically only hit dingers doubles or struck out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't going up there to be choosy with his pitches. He was going up there to swing. If you hung a breaking ball, it was going over the fence. If you gave him a belt-high fastball in the zone, it was going over the fence. But if you threw him some junk, he was probably going to swing at it in a 3-pitch strikeout and look awful while doing it.
Yeah.
But, like, that's my guy. He
There we
wasn't trying to run the bases.
Oh, no, he was a unit.
No, he was trying to basically
Yeah.
walk to second on a double
I know,
in the
Doug.
gap, or do his little home run trot, or walk back to the dugout.
There we go.
Something's got to be said for that. He probably could have had like a couple beers before the game and still played the same. I mean, that's Adam Dunn.
All right. Adam Dunn, I like it. That guy's a unit. I remember Adam Dunn. All right. Good answer.
I don't know why, but like I'm a Marcin Gortat enthusiast. I don't know if y'all remember the Polish Hammer, but that man he was special.
I remember.
He was special back in the day, but
Explain to the audience real quick who that is. NBA, right?
NBA, right? Polish guy.
There we go.
He's had a
Plays
lot.
for my Wizards.
Yeah, playing the Wizards. Had a lot of different looks, I believe. I can't remember the other teams. I think he played on. Did he play in the Hawks at all? I could be wrong. But he played in a good. He played in a good. He played in a good amount of teams.
What an answer.
But man, I love me some Marcin Gortat. You talk about old school post play. You used to have a nice little floater game, little baby hook game as well in the low post. But he got phased down with a lot of the big guys in the early 2010s because he couldn't really shoot.
Yeah.
So I mean, that era is gone. Maybe if he had like a guy, or if he appeared more this era, he have like a resurgence because low post play is kind of being more valued again. But man, I loved watching Marcin Gortat when I was a young guy growing up in North Texas. So I don't know why.
I'll never forget that name.
I love Marcin Gortat.
Yeah, interesting looking guy too. But
Yeah, very interesting looking guy.
I'll never forget
He
Gortat.
ran
Fair
a
enough.
great pick and roll with John Wall.
He did.
Oh,
Great
prime
pick.
John
He did.
Wall, man. We all miss him. All right, Asher, last answer of the night
All
potentially.
right, I'll go franchise that is regarded as one of the worst franchises in a major sport of all time. The Houston Texans, Tom Savage.
Oh, man.
If you at all remember Tom Savage, he was the third-string quarterback on a year where Matt Schaub was the second-string quarterback and went out with injury after the first-string quarterback had gone out with injury. And the reason I bring him up is because instead of the Texans being some big franchise that everyone remembers, right, everyone actually does know them as a horrible franchise. And this just kind of represents one of the points, granted I'm a Texans fan, where they were at like, they're kind of their all-time low. Just not a good time to be a Texans fan, and not a good time for the franchise, especially it hadn't been that long since the Oilers were ripped from them, honestly. So just really had never succeeded in Houston.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Wow. Yes, Tom Savage, quite the pick there as well. I know Tom Savage well, but other people definitely do not know who Tom Savage is. All right. Great answers from our contestants. Rapid fire, man. That's where champions are made. It's never easy. You never know what's going to go down. And I'm going to be honest here. We do have a quick tie. I need confirmation that we can do a quick tiebreaker. 20-second tiebreaker.
Goose is
happen.
pissed.
20 seconds. It's got to happen. 20 seconds. Yeah. Yeah.
Goose, what
Yep.
do you do?
Is it
Good.
all three of them?
Good. It's sadly not all three. Asher, I'm sorry. You just missed the cut.
Whoa.
It is between Joe and Ryan. You guys have like 10 to 15 seconds to answer, right? Favorite MLB sleeper team for this year? Go. I love this. This has never been done before. Yeah, one answer and go. Yep. That's all you got. Give me 5-second explanation and you're good. This has never been done on this show. This is awesome. This is history in the making.
I'm going to go with the LA Angels.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know why.
All right.
Mike Trout is out there for blood. Shohei Ohtani has left his squad. I do like this different pitching squad, but you know what? New manager and Ron Washington, Rangers legend. I like the Angels can possibly make a third wild card.
All right. Let's hear it.
I'm going to go with the Reds. Very winnable division. The NL Central, wide open. Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain, TJ Friedel. They got some power. They got some new pitching staff. I think it's the Reds. I think they're going to win that division.
Wow, that did not make my job much easier. All right, but there has to be a champion tonight, and this has been such a great show, and it's such a tough answer to come up with. But the winner of tonight's contest, very quick drum roll, please, is indeed Mr. Joe Duffey. Just barely Mr. Joe Duffey gets the win. Do we have time for FaceTime? Maybe not, actually.
No, we probably don't.
No time.
We
We're
probably do
running out of time. Thank you to everybody tonight who makes the show possible. The contestants, Master Control, everybody in studio personnel, the audience, you especially. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week, and it's going to be maybe even a better show. But we appreciate you guys, and see you guys next week. Have a good one.